Hey everyone, Rob Carpenter here with Ace Adventure Gear. Today I wanted to chat with y'all about whitewater kayak outfitting. Specifically, I'm going to show y'all how I go about outfitting my creek boats, half slices, anything I'm going to be running down harder whitewater. Let's dive in. Alright, today we're going to be working outfitting a Piranha Scorch X. I like to start with the seat and then work my way down to the feet. So what I'll do is start with the seat positioning in terms of forward and rear position. I paddle medium creek boats. I'm usually on the lower end of the weight range for that. So what I'll do is kick the seat as far forward as I can get it. This just helps me trim the boat a little better. Makes me feel like I have a little more control. Additionally, what we'll look at is how to add hip pads and then how to throw in a few extra seat shims if you need them. What you'll need for this is a Phillips head screwdriver. There's a way to throw in the seat shims without having to utilize it, and then a hex wrench. Additionally, you will want the outfitting foam that was provided with your boat. To adjust seat position, you will need the hex wrench that's included with your boat. And what you're going to do is completely unscrew the bracket and two screws that hold the seat in. This is just with Piranha boats. We will eventually go over outfitting videos on all our manufacturers. But for Piranha, what you're going to do is completely unscrew the screws and remove the bracket. So this is what the top part of that bracket looks like. Those are the two screws that you'll unscrew. And then what that's going to do is release the lower bracket that screws into. That's what that guy looks like. You can see that pictured here. So again, really easy. This will be, that top bracket will be on the outside of your boat. Just completely unscrew that and the bottom bracket will drop free. From there, what you want to do is completely remove this top bracket, and that'll release the screws that actually hold the seat in position. And as you can see, they've actually got pre-cut grooves in the Piranha seat. So what you'll do, for me, I adjust the seat all the way forward. So what that would actually be is the seat sliding forward. So you're going to end up utilizing the very rear slot. So once you have that seat kicked forward, drop that top bracket back down in. This is the hard part because you're doing it down inside the boat. So what you'll have to do is drop the top bracket back in, and you can there's a couple ways to do it. So you can either completely screw in one screw and get that bracket to sit flat against the bottom of that seat pan. And then that way you won't really have to worry about the other screw not lining up with your hole. You just line it up really easily. It's not going to cross thread, anything like that. Or you can leave one side loose, line it up, and then screw it in. I like doing it to where I leave it loose. Just kind of gives me some flexibility with lining up the other side. But yeah, you'll just tighten it completely down, do the other side, and then your seat's adjusted. Alright, adding foam to your hip pads. Super easy. So all you're gonna have to do is reach to the rear of the seat, find this ladder lock, and what you'll do is pull back on that. It'll loosen up that strap. You don't have to completely undo that strap. But what you'll do, loosen that up. That'll give you enough slack in that strap that you can flip the hip pad. Open up that hip pad, and then what you'll do is take a couple of your provided shims, add those in, and you're good to go. A couple things to note with your hip pads. So a hip pad's designed to actually hold you down into the boat, not necessarily to lock you in from the sides. So what you have to be careful of is adding too much foam. What can happen is you can actually cut off circulation to your legs. You're putting too much pressure on your hips. So just be aware of that. If your legs start falling asleep, one thing you can do is either take out foam or else just raise that hip pad so that it's sitting up higher on your hips. But again, super easy adding foam. Alright, so the last thing we're going to touch on is adding seat shims. So Piranha recommends to unscrew the two plastic rivets that are in the rear of the seat. In order to do this, you will need a Phillips head screwdriver. If I'm ever going to do this, what I will do opposed to the ones in the back, I'll just unscrew this one in the front. From there, what you can do is lift up the seat pad, slide in your seat shims. You can do this without utilizing a Phillips head screwdriver. In order to do that, all you're going to do is lift up this seat pad, grab one of your provided seat shims, slide it in from one side, reach underneath, pull it, and what you want to do is get that fairly centered with the seat, pop that seat pad back down, and you're good to go. So the reason you would want to add seat shims, and Piranhas specifically, they utilize a very high knee position. So what adding seat shims is going to do is allow you to make better contact with those thigh braces, lock you into that knee pocket a little bit better. So now that we've got the seat taken care of, all our adjustments made, I like to move on to the bulkhead. So a couple things that we'll do with this, I am going to adjust the positioning in terms of forward and rear positioning, and then we're also going to add some foam to our bulkhead. In order to adjust the positioning, really easy, all you have to do is unscrew the plastic wing knobs that are attached to the screws that hold that aluminum rail on. Once you get those two unscrewed, you remove that rail from the two screws, slide it forward or backwards, and then just reattach those wing knobs. Once you do have that set in the position you want, this is where adding foam comes into play. You will end up needing to cut this down to size. And then what I like to do is I like to also do what's called, I refer to as Swiss cheesing my bulkhead. This is something that I pulled from a video that Pat Keller did back in the day called piton proofing your bulkhead. But I think Swiss cheesing is kind of a better term for it. So for this, I'm gonna have to grab a drill as well as a hole saw, and we'll dive into that. Alright, so touching on Swiss cheesing your bulkhead. Again, this is something that I pulled from a Pat Keller Liquid Logic video referring to piton proofing your bulkhead. What this is going to do is just soften up this foam bulkhead a little bit better, just give you a little more shock absorption, that type of stuff. So what you'll need is a drill, drill bits. I use a inch hole saw. And what you're gonna do is just drill out a bunch of holes in your bulkhead. And ultimately this thing's gonna end up looking like Swiss cheese. So I'll show y'all here in just a few minutes what this ends up looking like. All right, so I've gotten all my holes drilled, and as you can see, this is why I refer to it as Swiss cheesing your bulkhead. Just kind of reminds me of Swiss cheese, but this is going to help in the event that you piton. This foam is going to give a little more than it would if you did not have these holes drilled into it. What you will want to do though is I always use at least an inch thick piece of foam, but you will want to use another piece of foam cover the outer portion of that, just so that you're not pressing against those holes. You've got a solid surface for your feet to rest against. But yeah, that's Swiss cheesing your bulkhead. Just a good way to give yourself added shock absorption. Just save yourself a little extra pain in the event that you piton. So something I wanted to touch base on real quick. I Swiss cheesed the bulkhead, and now I'm cutting out the outer layer, the solid layer that my feet are gonna rest against. A good tool for cutting foam is a serrated knife. Can't go wrong with a serrated knife. It'll cut through foam like butter. Great thing for using to cut foam if you ever need to. So just a quick tip, cutting foam, serrated knife. I've gotten my outer layer of foam cut down. Went ahead and glued them together, and that's going to give you about a 2.5 inch piece of foam as your bulkhead. What you will need to do is cut 2 notches in this foam so that you can fit it on the bulkhead without coming in contact with the rail. From there though, all you'll do is peel the back peel and stick layer, stick it on the bulkhead, and you're good to go. What I would do before trimming this down, reinstall it in the boat, see if you even need to trim it down in the first place, and then if you do, what I use for that is called a Sureform. You can pick this up at Lowe's, Home Depot, anywhere like that. The last thing we're going to touch on today is thigh brace adjustment. Again, very easy to adjust. All you're going to do is unscrew the one screw that is up along your cockpit rim. You don't have to worry about the front or rear screw that are holding in a Piranha thigh brace. All you have to do is completely unscrew the one set screw that's in up around your cockpit rim. From there, what will happen, this thigh brace will slide freely. If you see here, it's actually got slots that it'll slide, those front and rear screws will slide on. So again, all you're doing is removing that one top screw. Additionally, we are going to dive into Piranha thigh hooker installation. Great accessory add-on, really helps lock you into your thigh brace a little bit better. For Piranha thigh hooker installation, you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, as well as the hex wrench that was provided with the boat. What you'll do is you're going to start by unscrewing the 3 plastic rivets that hold in the thigh pad. So you unscrew those real quick, and that will pop out fairly easily, just like so. And what that's going to do is reveal 2 molded in nuts. And keep in mind, you are going to be doing this inside the boat. Most people won't pop out the thigh brace to do this, so it is going to be a little more difficult than just lining it up outside the boat. But what you'll do is just line up the thigh hooker with those 2 molded in nuts. You'll screw those 2 screws in, and the longer screw is going to go towards the stern of the boat. But you'll screw those in, and yep, just tighten it down in place where you want it, and there you go, got a Piranha thigh hooker. So the very last thing I'm going to do to wrap up outfitting my boats are install these knee pads. Where these are going to go is actually up in the knee pocket. Your knee will rest up in those. These have peel and stick. And what I actually do, since I'm such a big fan of this design, this shape, I'll actually trace these out on that extra foam that they give you, the extra peel and stick foam. That way I can hold on to this pattern. So yeah, that's the last thing I do in terms of outfitting my creek boats, half slices, anything I'm gonna run down harder whitewater. If you have questions on outfitting, feel free to stop by the shop, give us a call. Our phone number is 304-574-1900. Thanks for watching.